Hello students, welcome to this video series on Python programming, and we were discussing about loops in Python, and we have given a basic overview of the while loop. We have seen certain examples of while loop, and we have also posted one example of Python, how we implement palindrome in using a while loop. Right? You should have watched this video, and if you haven't watched the video on while loop, you can pause it, and we have provided the link in the description as well as on the upper side of this video. You can click that particular link and go back to the video on the basics of loops and while loop. Uh, and then you understand how we implemented the while loop, then come back to this for loop, and we will continue from this. For those who are actually following us, thanks to them. And now we are going to tell them or discuss what about for loops. Okay, now let us begin our discussion about for loops. So for loop, in case what we can say, that loops in shorts can be something which actually uh, helps you to do the same set of instructions again and again, right? This is called as loops, and we do loops. We have told you in the previous lecture as well. Then whenever we implement loop, we keep two conditions intact. That means with iteration, with each iteration, I am coming closer and closer to the final condition, or I am converging towards the final condition, and I am selecting only some statements that needs repetition. I will not put irrelevant statements in my loops. I will always loop those statements that actually do some processing, type of processing. So in Python, for loops are called iterators. They are called as iterators. For loops are used for sequential traversals. For example, traversing a list or a string or an array. Right. The basic difference between a for and a while loop is in while loop. In while loop, I actually doesn't know. I know the start. I know the start of the loop, but I'm not sure about the end of the loop. I'm not sure about this end of the loop, that when this thing will end. Okay, for all such cases, I am going to use my while loop. For suppose I want to create a system for reading a comment from a user. As soon as he hits first time, the system starts reading it, right? But I do not know when he will hit enter, right? Hitting an enter will submit this comment, but when this when this enter command or enter button will be hit by the user, I'm not sure. So I am keep on checking whether the user has clicked that enter button or not for each next stroke of the key, right? If he hasn't touched that enter button, I'm keep on reading until unless I get that enter symbol, I will stop. So this is what while loop, right? For a for loop, in on comparison to for loop generally knows the actual start and actual end of the loop. I know both these entities. I know both these entities. Then only I will be reading using a for loop, right? So you should know the difference between for and while loop once you are doing it in your programs. Okay, your program won't be specifying anything about the use of for or while. It will be used if it will give you a scenario, and that scenario can be implemented using for or using while, right? Now what you need to do is you need to understand why when you need to use a for, when you need to use a while loop. So this was the basic difference upon for and while, and now we are going to discuss in detail about what is the for and what is how we are going to use a for loop. Now for loop is known as iterators. It is a syntax is given here. It says that I have a keyword called for and I have a keyword called in. So it has something called for, then it has something called in. These are the two keywords. These are the two keywords that you need to take care. And there is something called colons. Okay, this is the third thing that you need to understand. In between for and n, there is some symbol called I, and this is called as iteration variable. Iteration variable. Okay, this is known as iteration variable. So this variable will take care of number of iterations that you do in a program, and then you have something called sequence. So this sequence, this I will go and read the sequence and do certain statements that is mentioned here. Okay, that is mentioned here. So the sequence can be a list, the sequence can be a tuple, the sequence of data can be a dictionary, right? Or it can be a set of data, or it can be a string of data, right? So it can be, the sequence can be anything, but the sequence should be iteratable. Okay, that means the sequence should have iteration, possible iteration. So what if I say, if I say it simply, it should have indexing. Okay, indexing, it should have indexing, the system should have indexing. That means when I divide this thing into small chunks of data, this part of data should be at index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2, up to index n minus 1. This is the basic description. If you have these indexes, then you can iterate it using a for loop. But if you don't have that, then you cannot iterate it, or then you cannot implement it. So numbers generally are not iteratable. Numbers are not iteratable because they don't have index. Suppose I say n is equal to 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5, this is the value of n. Now I want to find out the sum of the digits, or I want to find the product of this digit. Then I cannot say this 1 as index 0, this 2 as index 1, this 3 as an index 2, this 4 is at index 3, and 5 is at index 4. I cannot say this. This is invalid system. This is invalid system. So numbers don't have indexes. So for reading these numbers, we have to choose another method, another type of statement, another logic, I guess. We will be using a for and while. We can use this for and while, but the sequence, they won't be a part of the sequence. Okay, and when the system says that I have given you a number, you cannot convert this number into another data type. Like if I convert this number into a string and then using for loop, then it's fine. If I convert this number into a list and then I use in for loop, then it's fine. But sometimes it happens that it is mentioned in the program, or it is told by the instructor of that lab, or the practical instructor, that you cannot convert the data type of the given question. That means if it's saying numbers, it should have been numbers. It could not convert the number into a tuple or a list or a string for processing. In that case, you need to have a different type of approach. We will see some of the approaches when we will creating videos for related to the programs for loop. But as of now, we are going to understand only about what is a for loop, okay, and how in many ways we are going to implement this for loop. Okay, now let us go ahead with this. So this is an example of for loop. It says that we initialized a value called n, because we are using a value called n here. So if we don't use n, we have to mention it directly here. So we are having a value called 4 here, n is initialized to 4. Then I have written for I in range 0 comma n, because when I use a word called range, 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 that means I have 0 and I have n. So this is the start of the loop and this is the end of the loop, right? Now start is fine. Okay, you start from 0, but this end, where whatever number you have written here, n, the loop will go till n minus 1. Understand this. Okay, the loop will go till n minus 1. So the value of n was 4. So actually the loop will print till 3. So it is how it works. Range 0 to n. So the first value that I takes is 0. Print the value of I, then it will print the value of 0. It will go up again, increment the value of I to 1, because in each iteration I am coming closer to 4. Next value will be 1, I print the next value of I is 1, so I will print the value of I is 1, and I will go up again, increment the value of I to 2, then I will have to print the value called 2, then increment the value of I to 3, I will print the value called 3. Okay, 4 times this loop should run, because n value is 4, it is going to 4 minus 1, that is 3 values should be printed. So it prints 3 value and it stops at that particular value. Okay, this is how for loop actually works. Now coming to the next part, saying the program says suppose you are having a list for printing. Suppose you are having you printed this statement, print list it iteration, and you have a list, say happy for you, right? These are the 3 elements, happy for you, and this is a list. So this happy is at index 0, for is at index 1, and you as is at index 2, right? Now what is happening here is I am doing for I in L. This L is corresponding to this list itself, right? This is the list that I'm talking about. So what it is doing here is it is taking one element at a time. So now this I is corresponding to this one element. This one element is I now. Okay. So I is one element, happy. So it will print the value of I. It's print the index first element of the list, that is happy. Then I increment the value of I, I go to a next element of L, this is 4, I printed the value called 4. Then I again increment the value of I reach the index called 2, I will print the value U, and then because there is no more element in the list, I will stop. This is the 3 values that is printed when we actually took the help of list. Likewise, you can think of tuple. Okay, you can also think of a tuple. So you are having a tuple and you will print that same thing as tuple, because tuples also are iteratable. You are at index 0, 4 is index box, and u is index 2. Okay. When we talk about strings, okay, strings actually what it happens here, what it does it, because string it itself is a character array. String is a character array. So if I do string is a set of characters. Okay. So if I have a string actually has, this is S and is pointing to H, A, P, P, Y. Okay. You are having these indexes. So each element of the string is at a specific index. Okay, so now because string also has indexes, you actually wants to print I. So the I now can go from index 0, it can go to index 4, right? So because print I in S, so it will take S for the first index of S, that is 0, it will print the value called H, then it will increment the value of an index to 1, go to 1 and print the value called A. Likewise, it will keep on printing till Y. It will keep on printing till Y. And the same thing happens with dictionary, right? Why you use percentage S and percentage D in dictionary here? Because you are having a format says the first thing is the string and the second thing is the value, right? If you change the format, say first thing is the number and the second thing is say the string, something like this, so in that case this format must be different. It will be percentage D comma percentage S, and then you have percentage I comma DI. Okay, this is what it should return, because I have D corresponding to this and S corresponding to this. In this case the S is corresponding to this part and the D is corresponding to this part. That's why we have written it like in this form. So it will print it the dictionary. You can do it with the same thing with the set that you want to print. You can print the set as well. Now coming to indexes, the same thing happens. You can also use a variable called length, right? Length. Now what does length do? If I say length of a list, So what it gives you, if you have a list defined as 1 2 3 4, right? So the list of this is 4, so this value will come out to be 4. Now if I do a range element, range length, len length list 1 or list, what it will do, it will say range, internally it will mean range 4. Range 4 is congruent to range 0 comma 4. Okay, that means it will start from 0, go till 3, right? So it will start, this is the index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2, this is index 3. So it will take care of all these 3 values. So this is what it means. So it has index 0, 1 and 2. So list of list index. So list index will print list 0 element, list 1 element and list 2 elements. So these are the 3 index that will be printed. Now coming to the nested for loops. The nested for loops actually is useful when we actually want to implement something in which we have both rows and columns. Okay, when we use both rows and columns, then in that case we want to take help from two nested for loop. In nested for loop there is an outer loop and there is an inner loop, and there are certain statements for the outer loop, inner loop, and then there are certain statements for the outer loop. The working of this nested for loop is, you have an inner for loop. This inner for loop will execute completely once, then you will increment the value of outer for loop. You come back in, increment, then again run the inner for loop for n number of times, then increment the value of outer for loop, then comments again. So every time the inner for loop executes completely, right? Suppose I have a 3 cross 3 type of matrix. Suppose I have a 3 cross 3 matrix. Okay, so I corresponds to row and J corresponds to the column. Okay, because J1, J2, J3 are column, I1, I2, I3, 0, I0, I1, I2 are the rows, J0, J1, J2 are the columns. Now if I say for I in range 0 comma 3, okay, for j in range I comma 3, print star. This is what I want to do. So what this thing will do here is, let's study this particular case. Now what has happened, it says that for I in range 0 comma 3, the first value of I will be 0. So I will make columns here, I and J. So the first value of I is 0. Okay, so this is true. It will go inside, it will say take the value, initialize the value of J. The first value of J is I. The value of J is corresponding to this I. It says 0, right? So I will print the value star. So in this is 0 0 column. In this 0 0 row I will print star, right? Then I will increment this, because I have to run this inside loop completely. So it will increment, it will not increment the value of I, it will increment the value of J, increment the value of J to 1. Now the J becomes 1, but I always remains 0, right? Then is 0 1, 0 1 again is this one, 0 comma 1 is this one, it will print again star. Again increment the third time, 0 comma 2, 0 comma 2 is this one, it will print a star, right? Now when it becomes 3, because it cannot run, this maximum limit is 2. So when this last the increment is 3, now this loop will exit. Now what it will do, it will come back in, because this loop has been left. So this was the initial value, now the value becomes 1, right? 1, what signifies? It signifies that I am going to the next row. Now we come back here, for J in range I, the value of I is 1. So it is 1 comma 0. 1 comma 0 is 1 comma, what will be the value? J value is 1, right? I value is 1, right? 1 comma 0, 1 comma 1 and 1 comma 2. This is 2 comma 0, 2 comma 1, 2 comma 2. These are the values. So this is 1 comma 1 should be printed. 1 comma 1 is this, so I will print it here. Then I increment the value to 2, 1 comma 2 will be printed here. When I am done with this, I will again go up, increment the value to 2. Then I will come back here, it is 2 comma 2, 2 comma 2 is here, right? This is the value of j is 2 and I is 2, so is 2. So what type of pattern is printed? It's printed like triangular pattern, right? So when I want to print a pattern in this fashion, suppose I want to print A, AB, ABC, or I want to print star, 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 this way, right? So on all such cases, what I will have to do, I have to use this concept of nested loops. Okay. Now coming to the next important concept, that is called control statements. So it has control statements about these control statements are three types. One is called the continue statement, one is called the break statement, and one is called the pass. Okay. Generally we don't use pass, but we actually use control statements. So if I say I have something called, I will tell you both in short, for I in range 0 comma 10. Okay, so what it will do, it will print the value of I. So if I say I have if value of I is equal to 6, I use continue, else print I, right? If this is the code, what will it do? It will initialize the value of I to 0 first. So it will go and check this I is equal to 6, this turns out false. So it won't go here, it will jump to this print the I, so it will print 0. Likewise, it will go up, increment the value of I to 1. Now the value of I becomes 1. Now what will happen? It will again go and check, again false, come and print 1. Again increment the value of I to 2. It will again check this will be false, so it will be 2. Keep on doing it till 3, for 4, for 5, and now this thing has incremented to 6, right? When it comes to 6, this thing becomes true, right? And this at this part, this statement should execute and else will not execute, right? It says continue. Continue means it will skip the rest of the statement. It will go up again, increment the value of 6 to 7, come back, again this is false, print the value 7, 8, 9. Because 10 won't print it. So these are the statements that will be printed. What you skip the value of 6. So for the sixth value, you continue, simply continue the loop. You doesn't actually execute it, right? So this is what is known as continue. Now what change we can make? We can change something here. So if I use, instead of continue, if I use a statement, if I use a statement called break, what will happen here is it will work till this part, right? It will work till this part. It will work till 1 to 5 simply in the same fashion that it works here. But when it increment to 6, this thing will actually hit true and will come here, right? In this particular session, when you actually come to this part, saying this is true, and break statement actually tells you something very peculiar. It says that whenever I have a break, I will not continue this loop. I will come out of the loop. Whatever is the scope of the loop, this is the scope of the loop. So I will come out of the scope of the loop, right? If there is certain statement which is above this, certain statement which is below this, I will execute those statement, but I won't execute this statement. So if I'm not executing this statement, this print statement won't execute anymore, right? Once I have I is equal to 6, this thing will break out of this loop. So only this much value will be printed if I'm going to use a statement called break, right? A statement called break. So these are the two basic things for in loops for continue and break statement, right? Likewise, you have something called pass also. In pass, what we do, we actually have something called, if you have a string called happy, for letters in happy pass, that means it will execute all the statements in that particular string, right? HAPPY, they have created all those, they have read the string completely. Now if we want to print the last letter here is what it is, like what this letter will have. It will have the last letter as y, because this is the last element, so it will print the value called y. So if you want to execute all the statements in a string or a set and you want to learn the last element, you can use simply empty control statement, that is known as pass. Likewise, there is something called enumerate in Python. Enumerate generally means that each if you have a statement, if you want to print the index also along with the list, you can use enumerate. That means if you have something called months, this is the month list. It has January, February, March up to June. Now what I do, I will use something called for I comma m in enumerate. This is the keyword now. Enumerate months. The month is the list itself, right? So I will keep on iterate this months. I will print the value of the first index along with the index value. Okay, I will print this I. This I is the index value. M is the iterated variable of the M will take care of these things. The M will take care of these things. But I will take care of the indexes of January, February, March, April, May and June. So it will print from 0 to 5. So when you want to print something called the value of the index as well as the index, you will use the keyword called enumerate, right? So this was all about the for loop and the loops itself. These are some of the questions that you can practice on your own, and some of them you have done. We have done some of them with the help of the palindrome also. We have put this with the help of while loop. So if you want to implement palindrome with the help of a for loop, that's very easy. If you go and check the question upon while loop, it's really, you need to have two things. So we go and read this. If you find any issues, come back to us, we will explain you. But for loop, what will happen is, you take the string. Suppose the string is USMAN. This is the string that I have. So I will create a reverse string and I will initialize it to an empty string, right? I have an empty string for reverse string because I want to populate this string now with the reverse order. So what I will do, I will go and read for I in str. Okay, what I will do, I will do reverse str is equal to I plus reverse str. Simple. And when this loop is done, I will print the reverse str. Okay, now actually understand what it happens. So if this I right now is actually having this string USMAN. So this I is pointing to U, right? So in the first case, this I was U, reverse string is empty. You are concatenating U with an empty string. Both are strings, so it will come to U, right? Next time, this reverse string will have now U, right? So next time, next iteration, the value of I will become S. So the I will become S. Now this reverse string will become U. So the new string will be SU, right? This is the reverse string, right? Next time the value of I becomes M. This is M and the string is SU. So the string is MSU, right? The next time it is A. So the I value is A and the string is MSU. The string becomes AMSU. The last string is the value of I is N and the string is AMSU. So the string will become NAMSU, right? And this becomes the string ends here. So this will now print this particular string, right? The string printed will be NAMSU, and you can see it is the reverse of Usman. So these are the statements. This is the simplest way in which you can implement a reverse of a string using a for loop. But if you go and check the while loop implementation of this reversing, it will be you need to keep track of the pointers. It is an easier method, but you should understand it that as well. So you should know both the ways, how to reverse using for loop, how to reverse using a while loop, and then you have to have another condition checking whether the reverse string is equal to the parent string or not. If it is true, it is a palindrome. If it is not true, it is not a palindrome. So hope you understand the for loops and everything. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.